What's going on? Short intro today because the stories do the talking. Real Reddit threads, genuinely unsettling, and every one of them actually happened. Subscribe and let's dive in. I visited my hometown after 8 years and realized the entire town was monitoring people. I think they were monitoring me my whole childhood. There's a particular type of small town horror that starts quietly, not with a bang, just with one person knowing something they shouldn't know. Then another, then another. Then you realize it's everyone, and that's when you understand. They've been watching all along. I grew up in a Midwest town of about 2,000 people. Left at 18, came back for 2 weeks to see my mom. Nothing special planned. But something unsettling started immediately. Saturday morning, I ran into Mr. Hendricks at the grocery store, someone my mom knew from high school. We talked, and he asked about my life with specific questions. He knew I study engineering. He knew about an internship I'd done last year, only told my mom over the phone. He asked how my cat was adjusting to my apartment. I don't have a cat. I'd only moved apartments last month. Hadn't told anyone back home about it. I thought maybe he was confused, but the way he said it, casual, like he already knew, felt deliberate, like he was checking. Later that afternoon, my mom's friend Susan came by. She knew about my breakup from 3 years ago, specific details. She even knew the guy's name. I'd never mentioned that to my mom. It was private. By the end of that first day, I realized something was wrong. This wasn't random. These people didn't know each other well enough to gossip about me. The knowledge was coordinated, systematic. Too many specific details. My major, my job, my apartment, relationships, specific names and timelines. And that's when the real fear started. If they know all this about my current life, what did they know when I was growing up? What has been watched? How long? OP was about to spend 2 weeks slowly uncovering the truth. What started as paranoia on day one would harden into certainty, and by the end, he'd realize the whole town had been watching, piece by piece, since childhood. By day 2, OP stopped assuming coincidence. What got me was when I started keeping track. I wasn't paranoid yet. Okay, I was definitely getting paranoid. But I started writing down everyone who knew too much. Mrs. Chen at the grocery store asked how things were at my firm. Not a casual question. I'd told nobody in town except my mom. Sarah from high school said she'd heard about a breakup from 3 years ago, then asked if I was seeing anyone now, like she was checking. On Tuesday, a man I'd never met sat down at the diner and said my cat's name. How's Whiskers adjusting? I never told my mom that. Once or twice is gossip, but this was coordinated, systematic, not random small talk. They had specific information about my life, things I'd told one person and nobody else. And the realization that hit me that night, the one that kept me awake, staring at the ceiling, was that it never stopped. If they knew my job and a 3-year-old breakup and my cat's name, they'd been watching my entire life. Every decision, every place, every conversation, documented, building files on me. The town had constructed some kind of infrastructure to do it, and it had been running since I was born. And I'd walked around inside it my whole life without knowing. The system was designed to be invisible. After that realization, OP couldn't stop seeing the watchers. Every conversation felt coordinated. Every knowing look landed different. Even the silences held meaning now. By the end of that week, he was certain. Someone in that town had been collecting information on him since childhood. The paranoia made sense now. It wasn't irrational. It was the only rational response to what he was understanding. He wanted to leave immediately, but something made him stay. He had to know how far this reached. The knowledge felt like a net, invisible and spreading, catching everything he did. The Reddit thread exploded. Specific questions emerged about the extent of monitoring. OP clarified how many people, how recent, how specific. Someone suggested checking records. Another recommended she talk to her mom. And she did. I tried to get my mom to leave with me. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. I sat her down and asked directly, "Do you know what they're doing? Has someone been tracking me?" She went completely still, then said, "Some things are better left alone for a reason." I pushed. I told her I deserved the truth. I asked if she'd leave with me, drive out that night and never come back. She looked at me like I'd suggested something impossible. She said, You don't want to know. And even if you did, you can't unknow it. Some people can live with what they've done. Some people can't. That's when I understood. She wasn't afraid of the town. She was afraid for me. Afraid that if I kept pushing, that if I found out what I'd been part of, I wouldn't be able to stay the same person. She's already accepted it, made peace with being complicit. But me? I'm still figuring out who I am. The fact that they're monitoring current information about you, not just memories, means they're actively tracking people who left. Someone is actively checking your social media, or people are talking about you to people in town. That's conscious, ongoing surveillance. Your mom shutting down like that is textbook. She's not afraid to tell you. She's afraid of what telling you might trigger, either in the town or in you. The comments understood. This wasn't kidnapping. It was something far worse. Her mother, years ago, deciding survival meant silence. OP went back and started digging. Property transfers, medical files, the kind of information that changes everything. I tried to get my mom to leave with me. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. I spent the next week pulling records. Town property transfers, county clerk databases, online registries I shouldn't have had access to. And the pattern was there. 7 families. 7. All with children. All left within the last 15 years. And every single one of them had a child who was talking about leaving. College applications, out-of-state job offers, moving away plans. Within months of those conversations, the family would list their home. The listings would appear online for maybe 2 weeks, then vanish. Some houses sold quietly, some just disappeared from the market entirely. I pulled my own medical records. I threatened legal action. When they arrived, I found something that made my hands shake. An entire year was gone. Age 11. Redacted sections. Forms with signatures I couldn't read. Dates that didn't match anything in my memory. That's when I called my mom. I told her we needed to leave, now. I'd pay for everything. I needed answers about what happened when I was 11. She looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, "Some things are better left alone, for your own safety, and for mine." Comments hit different. I grew up in a similar community. People didn't leave. If they tried, they got talked out of it, or weird things happened. The weird things happened part is so real. My cousin wanted to move away junior year. Suddenly, his dad had a workplace accident, family financial crisis. He stayed. 2 years later, he finally left, and none of those issues resurfaced. Once you're gone, you're released. While you're there, something keeps you. Your mom shutting down like that is textbook. She's not afraid to tell you. She's afraid of what telling you might trigger, either in the town or in you. The "some things are better left alone" comment is control language. Before everyone loses it, have you independently verified the missing persons claims? Small towns have gossip chains that can spiral into false patterns. Check actual police records, not what people told you. A town that doesn't want people leaving. A mother trapped. Holes in the records. On to the next one. The final hours of that visit changed everything. OP couldn't ignore the coordinated knowledge, the missing records, the vanished families. She had to try one last thing. I tried to get my mom to leave with me. She said something that stopped me in my tracks. I packed my bag that afternoon and told Mom she needed to come with me. This town wasn't safe. None of us were safe here. I told her everything I'd found. The medical records, the missing families, the pattern. I expected her to defend the town, to call me paranoid, to minimize it all. Instead, she just sat there in the kitchen, and when she finally spoke, her voice was hollow. She said they have files on everyone, on her too. That she'd tried to leave once, years ago, before I was born. That there was an accident, she wouldn't say what, and after that, she understood. That some things are better left alone. That I needed to stop asking questions while I still could. The way she said it wasn't a warning from a mother. It was a threat delivered by someone who'd already lost the fight. I realized in that moment she wasn't protecting the town. She was protecting herself. And maybe protecting me too, in the only way she knew how. That's when OP left. Not in anger, in fear. She packed her car, booked a hotel 2 towns away, and knew, deep down, this was goodbye. The comments that followed were brutal. They didn't just validate her fear, they confirmed something darker lurking beneath. 7 families with missing years in medical records is not coincidence. Schools do this, hospitals do this, police do this when there's institutional coordination. This is way bigger than just a creepy town watching people. OP, if this is real and the entire town is coordinating something, you're now a liability because you're asking questions. I'm genuinely concerned about your safety. Don't go back alone. Don't let anyone there know where you're staying. And that's the horror of discovering your childhood wasn't safe. You can't unknow it. The predatory infrastructure that kept people trapped, OP had seen it now. The town didn't want to save the missing. It wanted to keep itself intact. Out meant alone. On to the next one. I think my boyfriend of 3 years is deliberately staging accidents to keep me dependent on him. This is one of those stories that starts as a pattern you barely notice. Then you do the math, and everything changes. I, 26-year-old female, have been with my boyfriend, 28-year-old male, for 3 years, and I thought we had something solid. But something really weird has been happening over the past 8 months, and I need to talk about it because I'm terrified. In 8 months, I've had 6 or 7 serious accidents, life-threatening ones. I fell down the stairs. I nearly drowned in the bathtub. Got food poisoning so bad I ended up in the hospital. There was a carbon monoxide scare, severe burns from boiling water. Each one could have killed me. And my boyfriend? He's always there, within minutes. He's so protective and devoted, takes time off work, posts about it online, brings flowers, cooks meals while I recover. He's positioned himself as the guy who saves my life. I loved that at first. Thought I had the most caring boyfriend ever, but then I started doing the math. I pulled up my calendar, went through text history with friends, and I found something that made my blood run cold. Every single accident happened when we were completely alone. Not one had a witness. Not one. That realization was the moment everything she thought she knew started to unravel. But the real horror wasn't in the accidents themselves. It was in everything else. I started going back through our relationship, but not looking for accident details anymore. I was tracing how Jake restructured every single thing around me. When the accidents ramped up, he suggested going freelance. He said it was romantic, giving up job security to be there for me. But it meant he'd always know where I was. He became my only transportation. After the bathtub incident, he insisted I was too fragile to be alone anywhere. My gym membership, the thing I'd had for 2 years, where I had friends, my own space, suddenly felt dangerous. He said, "What if I fainted? What if something happened and nobody got there fast enough?" I quit. He'd keep me active by exercising next to me on the couch while I watched. My friends stopped reaching out. Not because Jake did anything obviously wrong. He was always nice when they visited. But I canceled constantly. What if I had another accident? What if I needed him? He'd made sure I understood I was fragile, that without him, I wasn't safe. I did the math a different way. Not how likely is this accident, but when did each piece of independence get removed? The accidents weren't the pattern, they were the excuse. The real pattern was architectural. Jake didn't just position himself as my savior, he eliminated every other option. He restructured his entire life, job, schedule, presence, so he became the only person keeping me alive. And I think he staged every single one deliberately to deepen that. The horror of it was that none of it looked like a trap while she was in it. And that's when it hit her. The horrifying math. The clarity of what she'd been living. I have been systematically broken down by someone I loved. Looking at it all lined up, the calendar, the texts, the pattern, I'm realizing something that makes me want to throw up. There was nothing accidental about any of it. He restructured his entire life to be there at exactly the right moment. He made me quit my gym. He made me afraid to be alone. He convinced me my body was dangerous to itself. Every time something happened, he was right there, posting about it online, getting praise for being such a devoted boyfriend. I didn't even know coercive control looked like this. I thought abuse was yelling, violence, bruises. But this is so much worse. He's trained me to need him, to see him as the only thing keeping me alive. He's made me dependent in a way that's so complete I didn't realize it was happening. And he did it while I fell in love with him, while I planned a future with him. Every Instagram post, every hospital vigil with flowers, every time he said, "I'll always protect you." It was all a script, all part of something he was building, and I was the set piece. The comment section lit up. People were naming what this was. This is textbook intimate partner abuse. The isolation, the dependency, the violence disguised as protection. Please contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, immediately. Do not be alone with him. Do not let him manipulate you into talking it through. Get a restraining order before you initiate any separation proceedings. Consult a domestic violence attorney before speaking to him again. The police need that footage immediately. He may try to claim it's been edited or claim you're unstable. Legal documentation protects you. She wasn't alone in seeing the pattern anymore, and the next part of her story would force the one piece of evidence she didn't yet know she had into the light. OP made a decision that changed everything. I took the footage to the police. He's denying everything, but the camera doesn't lie. I bought a doorbell camera 6 weeks ago because I was paranoid about package theft. I never thought to check the archive until my therapist suggested I review what happened the night of the stairs. I logged in and just kept watching. The first angle shows him at 2:47 p.m. on the day I fell, loosening the railing bolts with a wrench. Loosening them. Checking the weakness with his hand. Testing. Then he leaves and comes back at 3:12 p.m., positioning himself at the bottom of the stairs. Just listening. Waiting. At 3:47 p.m., I come up wearing the shirt I wore that day. I steady myself on the railing and it gives way. The camera captures him standing there with an expression I'd never seen, and then he springs into action. The rescue. The performance. What broke me was the hospital footage. While I was sedated, he went back into the hallway at 11:43 p.m. He tightened those bolts back. Tightened them so they looked normal, so nobody would know. I showed him the footage yesterday. I thought he would panic or deny it, but he looked tired. He said you were too independent, too capable of leaving. He said I needed you to need me. He said it like an explanation, like I should understand. Comments blew up. I'm an ER nurse. Multiple accidents involving one person should trigger mandatory reporting by medical staff. The fact that nobody flagged it is a failure on our part. Those records are evidence. Document everything and give it to law enforcement. The way he explained his reasoning was the most chilling part. That wasn't panic or remorse. That was a prepared justification. He'd thought about this moment, thought about what he'd say if you found out. That's not impulsive anger, that's calculated control. Exactly. I needed you to need me isn't something someone makes up in the moment. That's a line he's rehearsed. He went straight to explanation instead of denial or panic. That tells you everything about how premeditated this was. He expected this might happen and had his story ready. And that's what sticks with you. A prepared answer ready to go. So OP is safe now, staying with her friend while the footage stays backed up across 3 separate cloud accounts. She met with a domestic violence counselor. The diagnosis? Attempted assault, psychological abuse, coercive control. All of it documented in 4K. But the prospect of going to trial, of facing him again, of reliving it all in court, that's paralyzing. For now, she's not reporting. For now, she's just trying to breathe without seeing that video in her head. Then, a few days later, OP came back with an update. I took the footage to the police. He's denying everything. But the camera doesn't lie. I'm not sure what changed, but I knew I couldn't let this go. I walked into the police station with everything on a flash drive, 3 separate backups on cloud storage, and my own version of the truth. The detective watched maybe 2 minutes of the staircase footage. His face just went blank. He asked if there were others. I showed him the bathroom, the kitchen. By the time I finished, he was already pulling up arrest warrant forms. My boyfriend lawyered up before the end of the day. He's denying everything, says the footage is edited, that I staged it for attention. But there's no way to edit him loosening bolts and waiting. There's no ambiguity in 4K. Now it's in the legal system's hands. Now it's real in a way that feels both like relief and like I can never take it back. The comments came in fast on this one. He removed your gym, controlled your schedule, made himself indispensable, then hurt you so you couldn't leave. That's the classic abuse escalation pattern. You've been incredibly sharp to see it. Most people take years to recognize what's happening. Please stay with your friend and get legal help. And that's the thing about coercive control. It wears the mask of protection. Every "I'm keeping you safe" is a cage. Every insistence that you need them is a calculation. Every hospital visit, every gift, every social media post is a brick in the prison they build. And the most twisted part is that by the time you see what's happening, you've been trained to believe the person destroying you is the only person saving you. OP saw it. She escaped. The evidence is with the police. And that is the last story for today.